watching Florida Counseling Association YouTube channel. And today we have an epic day. And my name is Alena Prihiska, by the way. So today we're having Anne Flenner, FCA President, who will be telling us a little bit about herself, but also about setting up a successful conference, because Anne is a brilliant professional in setting up very cool events and conferences. Hello, Anne.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, so, and you will see Anne's face when she'll start talking for a while. So, Anne, my first question to you today is, what was the first event you organized within the FCA?
You know, I was thinking about that, and it's hard to think back. I've been involved for quite a while, over 10 years, and I think one of the first events that I ever put on was a professional development workshop for the school counselors of Florida, who are now called the Florida Association of Child and Adolescent Counseling.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bullying workshop day event that we planned, and it was my first time to figure out, how the heck do you do this? How do you plan an event? How do you budget? How do you get speakers there? All that good stuff. But in the end, it turned out to be a wonderful event. We had probably about 20, 25 participants at that one. So it was a great new practice in getting into all this crazy stuff. So
crazy stuff? Why are you saying crazy stuff?
Well, it's so fun. You know, you never know what you're going to run into. You know, I just love what I do because the topics are so important for every counselor to have. So as, for example, that was one of my first one as a school counselor when bullying was really coming out with the new research and things like that about 10 years ago. You know, it's so important that we get that information out. So, you know, from the planning to the people being there, it's just always a fun thing to see it come to fruition. So in my mind, it's crazy at the end to see, wow, all that hard work come to fruition.
So do I understand correctly that one of the most important parts of setting up a successful conference is a topic?
Definitely. I think that's where you have to start. You know, you have to have a vision, maybe, instead of like a topic, but a vision. What is the purpose? Why do you think this is important? And why do you think others are going to feel the same way? How is it going to drive them to be there? Because if you have a topic on underwater basket weaving, no one's going to come. But if you have a topic of something that people are really interested in, need to know about, current, you know, that's what's going to drive people to come to your conference.
You know what I'm noticing when I see themes for conferences? They're very broad.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and they kind of have to be, especially for big conferences, because most conferences, you know, if we're talking counseling conferences, you know, you want to have the whole gamut of different topics for people to be able to come. So you got to find a broad topic that's interesting, but that can cover a lot of smaller topics perhaps within it. So.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. All right. So what is the biggest difficulty in organizing the conference?
I don't think there's a difficulty, but I think the biggest thing that you have to do is be proactive. You cannot wait to the last minute. You can't be scrambling when it comes to conferences. For example, like the FCA conference, the first thing you got to do, you know, is find a location about 3 to 5 years before it even happens. So it's hard for some people to be forward thinking, because at least 3 to 5 years, because you got to find the venue and venues, especially in Florida, you know,
oh, wow.
very quickly. And you got to get the best deal. You know, as nonprofits, you can't spend a lot of money. So you really got to search for that venue that fits your people, but also fits your budget. And that is not always easy to do. Mm-hmm. That's probably the hardest part, actually, is finding the venue and making sure you're getting the most bang for your buck, I guess, as they say.
Right.
But just really being organized and having a plan of attack. Like, for example, FCA has a manual that was created by Kate Williams and Dr. Amy Hooper Knox that really outlines every month what you would do to plan a conference. And having a guide like that for your organization is super helpful to keep you on track.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, shout out to Catherine Williams, a doctoral student at the University of Florida. Right. So can you say that this is the biggest challenge too, this finding venue? And is it the biggest challenge? Or I need challenges. We need challenges. Tell us about challenges and overcoming challenges.
So yeah, like it's also kind of fun. So one of the first things as I came in as president-elect was you have to find a venue for the conferences for the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of time. So I know challenges when we start talking, it's all about, again, we're a volunteer organization, is be time in or be able to put the time in. So, finding a venue, you need to go out to 5, 6, 7 places. You need to go visit them. You need to be swooned by these people that want nothing more than 400 people to converge on their place. Exactly. And you create a spreadsheet, you do the pros and cons, and you bring it to your team. So kind of as a leader of a conference, your job is to bring that material together and then let your team decide what is the best fit for our needs. And so that is number one thing you got to do. And it's probably one of the hardest things you got to do because we're not business people.
No.
We're counselors. So we have to put on those business hats that we don't always have. We don't always know what these business people are talking about. So you got to learn. You got to be open to ask questions and not feel, silly for asking things you don't know.
Okay, so. Specifics. What questions do you ask?
Well, you have to ask, how many people does this venue accommodate? If you're going to have 5 breakout rooms, and how many people do you want to fit into those breakout rooms? Because you'll go to some hotels that have 5 rooms, but only 10 people fit into them.
Oh, wow.
And then you'll find hotels that have the breakout rooms and 200 people fit into them. But you don't want to have that if you only have 20 people in the room, because then you'll look like, what's going on here? Right. So you got to right size, we call it right sizing, the event place.
Right.
With cost, there's always a cost. You want to see if it's at a hotel, if they will give your participants discounts on rooms. So instead of, a beautiful hotel that's usually $170, most of your convention participants can't afford $170 a night plus the convention registration plus the food they're going to say. So you really want to advocate for your participants. And so, for example, FCA in the past, we have done the very best we can to keep it around $100, no more than about 110 a night. And that takes negotiation for sure.
Oh, it did. So everybody, for you to know, it wasn't just falling from the sky and it worked, right? How do you negotiate? Okay, how do you negotiate? Let's say I'm this person at the hotel and I'm telling you, and we'd love to have you. The price is $200. Is it okay? So what?
I we love this venue. It is so beautiful. I could see, all of our convention participants really enjoying this. However, just so you know, we are a nonprofit organization of counselors. We don't get paid much, unfortunately, although we should. What can we do to bring this price point down? Because we couldn't be able to bring that to our participants and say, it's $200. Unfortunately, we can't. What can you do to help us? And, they can do many different things, from cutting parking costs or giving a free breakfast, or, they will try to throw different things at you. And again, you take all those perks that they're going to throw at you and you bring it back to your team and say, does this having free breakfast outweigh this extra $20 or whatever it is? Because sometimes it does if it's a really good breakfast.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing word team for the second or third time, and we'll come back to the team. But I want to ask you a little bit more about challenges in regards to, kind of cognitive realm. So we've been talking about challenges, concerning hotel and this material part, but there is educational part also. So is it challenging to find a speaker? Because you did an awesome job this year and last year and the speakers. So how do you do that? How do you find these people? Because sometimes I see that regional conferences have the same speaker, traveling from one conference to another, which we want to be original. So how do you do that?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. It's kind of the cool and selfish part of being the president, because you get to pick who you want to be your speaker. So last year's convention, 2 years ago, Michelle Bradham-Kuzar picked, and you saw that I think the plenary speaker was a rehab counselor, because that's who she is. And so she really wanted to bring that forward and show people. And, I had, as president-elect, I had my wheels spinning about who is my ultimate, who would I love to see to get at conference? And, again, it comes back to money. Come on, how am I going to get these amazing speakers if I don't have any money? But biggest thing I could tell you is just ask, because I met Bob Schmidt at ACA in Orlando, and to me, he is a counseling god for what he did with the Sandy Hook Foundation and all he has done. And so I just reached out to him and said, Bob, would you be interested in coming? He's like, heck yeah. You don't have to pay me to come, just help me with travel. And that, of course, we would be so glad to do to get him down there. And then my keynote speaker, I had just read the book, Saving Tim, about 2 years ago when I was looking at some stuff about schizophrenia for one of the children I was working with. Mm-hmm. And, I was like, oh, he's from Palm Beach County. It can't hurt to reach out to ask him. But he is the CEO of Mental Health America. So I'll be honest with you, I didn't believe he was going to come. No. So I sent an email and I said, we're the Florida Counseling Association. I know you're from Palm Beach. You're amazing. I read your book. Would you be interested? Tell me what your fees would be. And he said, hey, Anne, get me there. I'll come. Oh. And so again, we didn't have to pay for them to actually do the speaking because these people want to get their word out. They want to share their passion with you guys. They just need a way to get there. And usually, you can help with that. So finding those people that you are really interested in, because if you're a really passionate counselor, you can bet that the other passionate counselors around you are going to like the same information. So
tell me, what's the tip for motivating them to come? Like, how do you motivate them?
I think just being genuine and telling them who you are and why they're important to you. And just being honest with them, like, hey, we're an organization of counselors and we need this information. And this is how I think it would benefit them. And being polite and kind and very responsive, I think. Some of these head honcho people are really busy and you even have to go through their secretaries, and that's okay, but just be really responsive, because if they're going to give you their free time, you better be on it. So
yeah. And don't be scared, right? Did you feel anxious when emailing them? Did you feel anxiety?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When I set up a phone conference with Paul Gianfrido, the CEO of Mental Health America. Never spoke with him before. And Miss Christy Knight, our current president-elect, was on the phone with us. And I was like, but I'm kind of like a fan. So, I'm one of those giddy fans, like if you saw a rock star kind of feeling. So you try to plan ahead and try not to make a fool out of yourself when you talk to these gurus of counseling. So
how did you plan it ahead?
Just kind of like you do for anything. You put down your questions that you want to ask them. Right. You may make some bullet points of what you want to make sure you say, the important stuff. I was going to say, just like you did for me, Alonia. Oh. Just have it planned out so you don't miss anything that you really want to say. And when you hang up the phone, you're like, I missed that. You don't want to have that feeling.
Yeah. So once again, I'm hearing word proactive again and again. You have to plan. You have to plan stuff. Right. Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. And if you're on track, it makes everything so much less stressful, because then you can put out the little fires because you've already taken care of the big things. So
yeah, right. And there's no limit for small things, as I've learned helping Christy this year. There's no limit. Big things.
Never know what's going to pop up, so you got to be ready.
Right. Yeah. So what? My next question, you kind of answered it already. What are 4 things you need the most to make a successful conference? Like 4 things. You can pick up 5 or 3.
Yeah, I've thrown some in there, so I'll throw the ones that I don't think I mentioned. I think, again, having a really great team is so important. This is not a one-person show. It could never be. It is such a huge undertaking. Mm-hmm. If it was a small, again, like workshop from back in the day, 10 years ago, when it's 20 people, could one person handle that? Sure. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about 200 people converging, 20 exhibitors, 40 sessions, keynotes and plenaries and all that crazy stuff, it is definitely not something that can be done by yourself. So, forming a really strong team around you and realizing what strengths and weaknesses are, and kind of, being respectful of their time and their talents is really important, because some people have a lot of time to give, other people don't have as much, but every bit of that time is valuable, and to use it to your advantage. So forming your team really well and knowing it's okay to ask for help as a convention planner is really important.
Okay, what are specifics about forming your team? Who would you like to choose? Do you want to have like diverse roles in the team? How do you do that, like technically?
Yeah. So again, I think it kind of comes down for planning again as well, and kind of having roles for people. So we know we need someone in charge of the exhibitors, and we know we need somebody in charge of the evaluations, and we know we need somebody in charge of hospitality and the fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I think for anything is making a plan of what areas do you need assistance with, and then kind of putting a head honcho there, that's your go-to person, and then they can have their other people below them, to help them with those things. So again, kind of planning, having that organization really set, and again, just making sure you're putting the right people. So, graduate students, it depends on them. Some of them are go-getters, like you, young lady, who you say something to them, they get them done. And then there's others that, don't maybe have even maybe enough time. They're just so studied in their focus, they can't really give that time to you at that time as a graduate student, so that you may give them a smaller job. So you just got to kind of, I think really important is getting to know your leaders, and being able to, because if you get to know them and personally, form those relationships with them, when you ask them to do something for you, they're so much more likely to do it than if you never talk with them and then you're just like, do this for me. That doesn't really work very well. So it really is like a family. It's a team. I feel that all of the people on my committees are truly, I feel, my friends that I can reach out to when I need them for moral support, or when I say, hey, do this for me. And they often do. And I really appreciate all of them. So.
Yeah, they appreciate you very much too. Yeah, I do. All right. So you answered my fifth question. What are the qualities of people you want to have around when you organize a conference? So you do want to add something to that?
Yeah, just people who have the same passion as you for counseling, that are, again, if at all possible, proactive people that will respond, that have the time to give. And if they don't be offended. Just find somebody else who is able to, fill that role and help us get it all done. So
yeah, don't be offended. Did you ever get offended?
Oh yeah, it's hard not to take it personally sometimes when, you ask somebody to do something and you think they will and then they don't. That often happens because they think they have the time. They really truly have the passion, but then they're not able to follow through. And sometimes you take it personal, especially if they are a close colleague or friend. Like, why didn't they do that? I asked them to. Is there something that's wrong with me, or, whatever it is? So you can't take leadership personally. Today is election day, and politics gets into everything. And so, you just try to do, number one, think about what's best for the organization. It's not about me, it's probably not about them. We just got to move forward. So
right, yeah. So you detach in a way. You differentiate, right?
Yeah.
You don't, try not to take it personally. We all are human beings. I mean, it can happen. And if it happens, what do you do? How do you cope with that? How do you cope with this feeling like, bye guys, did you and you didn't?
Well, it comes back to having a really good support system too. And I rely heavily on the previous past presidents and their knowledge and their insight. I, again, can go back to FCA presidents 10 years ago and come to them and say, hey, I'm having this problem. Did you ever encounter this? What did you do? Right. And it's really nice to be able to reach out to them because they're kind of detached now from FCA, so they don't know who I'm talking about. But they're able to absolutely connect with me, say, oh my gosh, I felt the same way. And just bouncing those ideas off of them, I think, makes me a better leader because I'm trying to, pull everything I can from their knowledge and experience because they are the reason why I'm here today, is our past FCA leader. So grateful to
a generational transmission. How do you say it? How do you call it? Like, I just feel, what Catherine Williams is doing right now. She's in a way making this, genogram of FCA leaders.
Right, the history project, exactly.
One from, all right. So, why do you care for the Florida Counseling Association, Anne?
I love FCA. I'm not quite sure why. Again, I think it's embedded in me now. I started with FCA when I was a graduate student, probably 22, 23 years old, and now I'm 24, so no, not. But I still feel like I am one of those newbies. And I just remember going to my first conference. I think it was in Daytona back again in like 2004. And one of the old presidents or leaders or whoever they were, just putting their arm around me and saying, hey, welcome to this field of counseling. And what are you going to do? Are you going to be a school counselor? Are you going to be a mental health counselor? And, I was having this conversation. I don't know. So I don't know exactly where I fit. And I found such a home with the Florida Counseling Association because, again, they encompass all counselors, whether you're a school counselor, mental health, marriage and family, substance abuse, career, you're welcome within FCA. And I really, truly feel that we can pull from information from all of the different genres of counseling. And I think we can never stop learning. And I don't think that we should always be focused on our specific trait because, again, we can learn so much from the new best practices throughout all of counseling. So I really, since then, have always felt that way. Even though I am a school counselor, when I go to conventions and conferences, I very rarely go to school counseling sessions. I take advantage of going to the really cool things on tapping, marriage and family, ethical stuff that I don't always encounter, LGBT, because I use all of that as a school counselor, but you don't always get that within your regular professional development of school counselor. So I really value being able to expand my horizon. So I think my heart is with FCA because of that. I've always felt welcome no matter who I am. And I have seen amazing people, made these amazing relationships, and it's just wanted me to give back even more. So here I am 10 plus years later. I've held most positions within FCA. So I really have a good bird's eye view of what each position is before I became president. And it's just, I've been blessed to be able to do that. And I've been blessed that lots of leaders before me have pushed me and said, Anne, I really think you could do that. When I was like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. So again, it's a family, it's a team thing, and it's a great organization.
Yeah, so for you, there's a lot of emotions around this leadership position and around FC in general. So you're mentioning passion, love, family, and learning, right? As a value, I guess, right?
It's, this is my non-paid job, I tell people. I don't get paid for this, but I put almost as much time perhaps into FCA as I do my paid job. It's my fun thing I do. Some people watch TV. Some people, do negative things, drink beer, or, go out and party. Nope. At 9 o'clock at night, what do I want to be doing? Updating the website. So to each their own, right? And people, I want always to know that you don't have to be as crazy as perhaps as I am is putting the time into organizations, even an hour a week, even an hour a month, anything you can give back to your professional organization is amazing. You don't have to go crazy, but giving back in any way, shape, or form is the best thing ever. And I think that if they're not an FCA member and they're watching this, to just know that, again, if you come, I guarantee you'll feel welcome. And I hope that you reach out to all of our amazing leaders because they want you here and they want you to know that you have a place with us.
Yeah, a bit of advertisement. Come and join
us. A little bit. No, see, I'm learning that business part of of counseling. There you go.
No, right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But why do you think people need FCA? Why do they need it? And I'm not talking not about counselors, but about just people, our potential clients. Do they need FCA in any way?
Well, I think it's a trickle-down effect because really the purpose of FCA is to support professional counselors.
Right.
And if we support them correctly by completing, professional development that they need and providing that support when they need to have, supervision and collaboration and stuff like that, it trickles down to everybody in the state of Florida. All of those clients that they touch are somewhat affected because of things that FCA does. We also try to go out in the community and just let people know who we are. We have our week of service that happens in the spring where all of our 5 regions go out and either go to a homeless shelter or they give back in some way. They participate in the Out of Darkness suicide walks, things like that, the mental health, children's walks, things like that, and get involved in the community so that we're seen. And it's just a great time for all of us to talk about counseling and the importance of counseling and trying to, again, break those stigmas of counseling with a population that just may not know.
Right. Yeah. So finally, it benefits clients.
Yeah. It does. It definitely trickles down to them. And the whole point, is to take care of everyone, in the state of Florida. So it's a big job.
And I have one question. Do you, Anne Flenner, want to run for FCA President one day?
To be honest with you, so I saw that question and I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, and I don't know. Probably not. I can't see it at that national level, but you never say never. I'm trying to think of what comes next after FCA president. If I get involved in our southern region of ACA, or perhaps get involved with one of the divisions of ACA.
Right.
So I'm really right now truly focused on making this the best year that I can and really enjoying my year as FCA president.
Right.
Next year I'll follow up with past president, which will probably keep me pretty busy. And then I really have to have a plan. Do I take a break and play tennis every day? Or do I find another part of counseling and leadership that I want to go into? So just depends.
I'm not sure that you will be able to take a break from everything you told me.
Probably not.
Well, I don't think so, yeah. And thank you so very much. This is a wonderful, wonderful interview, and I'm sure everybody will watch it and benefit from learning from you. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And thank you for what you did for this year's convention. I can't wait till next year.
Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great, great day, and come to the FCA and join us.